Hey guys, my name is Abdullah and I just finished watching episodes 3 and 4 of the anime Boku no Hero Academia, or as we know in English, My Hero Academy. Um, what I can say for the last two episodes is that they were kind of fast-paced plot-wise. However, the emotional satisfaction at the end of each episode and the character development that we kind of got to see kind of overcame those fast-paced moments that should have been expanded a bit more from my point of view. We start off in episode 3 where Deku learns that he's gonna inherit All Might's powers, and he kind of can't accept that because it's impossible. However, All Might explains to him that it is possible to inherit superpowers because that's how All Might inherited his. All Might's not the natural born superhero that he makes the world think he is. He actually earned these superpowers from someone else, and he had to train and work really hard for them, and he tried to avoid those questions in the media because he didn't like focusing on his superpowers that much. The whole world is confused on what exactly his quirk is. They don't exactly know how to define it because it shows different types of variety of usages. But the way he explains it is that he has a variety of superpowers at his disposal that he can just choose from, you could say. I think that's how I would explain it. From this episode, we learned a lot about the characters Deku and All Might. Deku was called out by All Might for being very pessimistic or leaning onto the negative side very quickly, and that's interesting for an underdog. From my perspective, I was expecting what I experienced from underdogs, that they think that they can do anything possible if they work hard enough, and that's kind of what Deku is. However, All Might pointed out something really important, that he shows that Deku really falls down very easily, you could say. He leans towards the negative side very quickly and gives up hope, and that's you could see that in many of the episodes that we've seen so far. In this episode just a couple of seconds ago, he was told that he can inherit All Might's power, and he didn't believe that easily. He was told by his name Midoriya that he can't be a superhero. He fell for that. By the doctor that he can be a superhero, and he just lost hope at that. But he does end up gaining those hope, and that's what this underdog image of his is built. But it just explains to us that every time he's put into a situation, he quickly leans to the negative aspect of it. Another part of this episode that I liked is that when All Might truly realizes how big of an impact he is on this kid's life. When Deku kind of mentions that he wants to be like All Might. All Might just he emphasizes on those words and realizes how much he means to him, how big of a role model his image and himself are to Deku, and that's kind of interesting. I want to see more of that, and I think Deku's gonna be like a son to him near the end of the episodes, and All Might's gonna be a father figure to Deku, because I don't think we've seen his father at all in these episodes. We've only seen his mom. I'm pretty sure about that. If you want to make sure about that in the comment box below, please do tell me. Now, something interesting, within half of the episode, something interesting started happening. We started going into a training montage, and I was pretty hyped because I love training montages. I love seeing main characters become stronger and develop into the super badass people, but I was left disappointed because this training montage lasted just a couple of minutes, 5-6 minutes possibly, and it spanned over 10 months, and I was so confused because it felt like, a couple of weeks, not even a month, and I wasn't satisfied that much. They were trying to show how much he changed because of the training, but I just didn't feel like that. The time didn't feel like that. I think they should have taken whole latter half of the episode and focus just on his training, but they didn't. They quickly fast-paced towards a different plot point that was also important, and it's just the way they did that, it didn't leave me satisfied at all. I think they could have done it better. They should have made it feel like 10 months have passed, which they didn't. They just showed a couple of scenes of him randomly working out and in class thinking about working out and just using the bar thing to practice his hand muscles with, and that's it. But it wasn't satisfying at all. And near the end of the episode, when he's about to go to the entrance exam, he all of a sudden he's super strong, he's super buff, and we see a progress pic, and they're very two different peoples, Deku and the before and after, and it just didn't feel like we saw him transform into that. It just felt like, oh, the 90% of the montage is just him weak, and the last 10% of him is just super good looking and super strong, and I didn't want that. I was hoping something like one half of an episode, or at least one episode of just seeing how he changes through the training. And I wasn't expecting a tuning exam arc like from Naruto to be in this, but more time spent on him transforming, because this is a very important part of his character development, his characteristics, because we're gonna see him change into a different type of person. We're gonna see he's not the weakling he is anymore. He's a strong human being. He can beat up Midoriya if possible. And near the end of the episode, as he inherits All Might's powers with by eating his hair, eating his DNA basically, and going to the entrance exam, we don't see that change on him. He's still a little goofy kid that talks to himself and is like crazy about the superheroes that he's looking at in the auditorium, which is good. He's still the same guy, but we don't see the difference in him at all. So was this training just for physical purposes, or was there any mental changes at all in his brain? So let's move on to episode 4. Was the episode out of the two episodes that I was disappointed of the most, because it went by so fast, just like the training montage, but it was, I think, way more important than anything else. Within just one episode, they had their whole exam, which I was expecting to last 2 or 3 episodes, but at least. But understanding that it's a 13-episode anime season, so I do get it why they made it so short. But it would have been interesting to see him actually learning and working really hard to get into this school, and it made it look kind of easy. Not saying that it would have been easy, but it just made it look that way. They only had one exam, and that exam just determined the type of superheroes they were gonna enroll. And we didn't really get to experience his powers that much. He just landed one punch on a huge monster, and they could have done much more. What the exam was basically is that they're gonna be put into a mock battle into a fake city or fake downtown type of area, where there are 4 types of monsters that are worth 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, and 0 points. Now they're told that the 0 point monster, avoid him. There's no point of beating him up because you get 0 points. However, the monster that Deku does end up beating up is the 0 point monster. However, this 0 point monster is not like the other normal monsters. He is Godzilla, like you could say. Not smaller, but Godzilla shaped compared to the other monsters who were just a bit bigger than the humans that were involved. Now that's what's another problem, because it went by so fast. We didn't really enter the battle scene into that much. It was just a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden this big monster appears. Deku has no points. You need a point to pass this exam, and Deku's just confused on what he's gonna do. And just as he's running away from the monster, like everybody else, he sees a girl that kind of helped him in the beginning of the episode from falling because he was so nervous. And the hero instinct that we saw in episode 2 of him running towards anything that he sees, anybody he sees in trouble in, and kind of likes and loves, he will try to save them in any way or possible. And that's what he does in this episode. That's what he does to basically pass the exam, because apparently the teachers, the judges, weren't just looking at how many monsters these kids beat up. They were trying to see how many people these people rescue, and he was in the top 3 or top 1. He got the most points for that, basically. And that's important, but I would have liked a lot of things from this. First of all, make the exam more complex, more lasting a bit longer than that, because that was kind of disappointing of how easy it was to get into a school that he was saying, oh, it's super hard, it's super difficult, because I was expecting him to I was expecting to be shown much more than his powers, and shown more of his heroic thinking, not just, oh, I'm gonna go save that girl because she was nice to me, but in more complex scenarios than, oh, just beat up a monster. Another thing is that we were not introduced to many of his classmates in the entrance exam. I wanted to see more of them. We were shown the glasses guy, who was very a rule following type of hero, and the girl that he saves, and obviously Midoriya. But I'm pretty sure they're going to show more students in future episodes. But it would have been nice to experience what type of people he was surrounded with. Were these people just for getting the name hero, or they were actually hero-like? They had heroic characteristics. So this last two episodes of this anime weren't that satisfying plot-wise. They passed by some important milestones very quickly that they shouldn't have. They should have focused a bit more on the training montage and the entrance exam, which was basically just one episode with not that much in it. However, I think I'll give these two episodes that they emotionally satisfied me. I was pretty geared up when he was training. I was pretty excited when he beat the crap out of that huge monster and passed. I was emotionally involved with the series, and I loved the use of music to enhance those emotions, to get us hooked into the scene, which is amazing for this anime so far. However, the lack of giving exposure to new characters and the new ways that these characters have developed kind of felt boring, and it was just that these two episodes didn't really mean that much for me. I think out of the last 4 episodes, episode 2 was the best episode of this thus far, and of this series thus far, and hopefully episode 5 will be different. It will be more showing us a bit more of how these characters have changed and how they are exactly after 10 months, because 10 months is a long period, and I didn't really see that much of a difference. I couldn't even tell there was a difference. And yeah, so let's wait for episode 5. If you like the review, please like and subscribe. And if you think there's something wrong with my review, or you want to point out a thing to me that I talked about incorrectly, please write it in the comment box down below. Have a good day.